And you mentioned Leigh. We've had our first coaching
casualty. Steve's asked us on Facebook who's going to take over.
Well,
they think it's going to be Andrew Henderson. He wants Andrew Henderson before Leigh Briers.
Before that, how unfortunate is the incumbent who's lost his job, John Duffy? Because what could have been expected of him in the knowledge that I think it was December the 14th that they were told they were going to be in Super League. The recruitment market is as depressed as it's ever been, and even though Derek Beaumont's saying I've got money and I'll spend it, you've got to have something to spend it on. Should we be surprised that Leigh have lost their game? Should John Duffy take responsibility for that? Is it a panic measure? Or can you see it from Derek's point of view that they've probably got 3 or 4 games now that they've just got to win, and if they need to make a change, do it now?
Well, I'm either the right or totally wrong person to talk about owners and how they behave. And I think either, which I can't see John Duffy being in this position, either they all thought they had a massive chance, and there's some good performances, Wigan early on, they've run Wakefield close, but where did they expect to be? You've got to be honest. And while I'm sure John Duffy won't turn around to his players and say, fellas, there's a good chance we won't win any game this year. I'm sure he thought that. And I hope he had that discussion with his owner to say, are you on the same wavelength here that this team might not win a game, might win 1 or 2, but it's not going to win 5 or 6.
But if we can get the 1 or 2 about against teams that are around us, it might be enough.
Well, they talked about beating those teams and they haven't beat those teams. So now what happens? So you get rid of the coach. Well, what? There's a Alex Ferguson can drop in to a football team like that and it's not going to make them win the European Cup. It's not going to happen. You've got to have good players, and you've got to have. I'm not saying they've got bad players. You just haven't got enough, and they've been brought in late. What did they expect?
What surprises me is that Gareth Carvell's gone as well. Because again, they deemed that they needed a director of rugby. There seemed to be a good working relationship between the guy they brought in and a bloke that owned the club. What sort of recruitment did they think he would be able to? I mean, Nathan Peats clearly is not, again, at the top of the pecking order in the NRL, but it's a decent enough signing. When there's nothing available in the market, I don't know if they're, as you say, the weight of expectation is completely unrealistic. But you talk about Andrew Henderson and maybe Leigh Briers. If you're a young coach, you've been in this position, if you're a young coach and you're itching for your first job, why would you take one that the likelihood is you might not be there either at the end of the season or the beginning of next season, and where do you get your next opportunity? So if you're a young, can only an experienced coach now pick this up? Because if you were Andrew Henderson, I wouldn't be taking this job. He might be the right man for it, but I just wouldn't be taking it.
You wouldn't go anywhere near it. And I class myself in the same bracket. I've probably done it twice, although I had a bit more at Bradford. In the first year, I had a bit more to go at. We finished 9th or 10th. It was like, we've done really well. We had 23 players. If you're going to go somewhere, you've got to be able to look the owner in the eye to say, right, well, we're in this together. I'm not fighting you, but if you want to run the team, then Derek needs to become the coach, because I know more than you. I know more about making the team and making it better, and individuals win that than you. You've got to enjoy what you do, and we've got to have a relationship. But there's another couple of owners around both divisions where you just go, what's the point? What is the point? Because you're either your ego's going to get in front of it, your mate's going to get on to you about your team losing. It's not and people think it's fair. There's nothing fair about it at all. What's fair about you competing with teams who have been spending $2 million a year for the last 10 years? You haven't spent that. You haven't got the infrastructure behind you. You haven't got the players to do that either. And you're expected to beat half of them. But it's not about just trying this. It's about try harder. It doesn't work like that. Those players will be given as much as they've got. There'll be some unlucky things here. They'll have injury there or here. But it's not about luck. It's not about rolling your sleeves up and working hard. It's not about laying more Sundex than somebody else. It's there's a level here where the players are. Yeah, if you brought a few more in, they might have a chance. But these players aren't sat there. I would look for the shop when I witness. And if the shop existed, I couldn't afford to shop at it anyway. It'd be madness for any of those to take it. Really be madness, because you might win a game. If you're not happy with that, you're going to be on your way. And then where you're going to be like me, you can't get an opportunity anywhere.
So Tim Sheens, who was linked, is clearly now going back to Australia after the All-Stars game, because he's got director of rugby job at his old club, West Tigers. I can't see at the moment who the next league coach is going to be.
I seriously don't know why.
Because there isn't really anybody who is sitting in the wings waiting to take that.
Well, there's no career path in it, is it? Unless you could sit down and say, right, there's a 3-year deal, it's unbreakable, we will...
And if we get relegated, you're going to get £1 million still to spend, or whatever it is.
And then we'll go and we'll build again, we'll go and we'll do it properly. But there's no way that, the way the contracts are, and we do know a few things about them, how they can flick you after 3 months, and why would you do it? Why would you do it? Because you can't make a difference that way. You've got to obviously be able to get in there and try and support them. The other thing as well, so it's still a little bit early, but there's the other bit of what people forget, that the players are staring down the barrel of relegation. A lot of these players have probably been relegated before, and it's the uncertainty of their next years that hardest beat in the world. That and I had the conversation. We were speaking. I had to speak to with this team that day we got relegated in Toronto to say, fellas, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. Feels awful at the moment. Something will come up for you. You're all young enough, and something will come up for you. You're going to get an opportunity somewhere else, and obviously a most and laugh. Because there's not many players around, but it's a worse feeling in the world when you're on the cliff edge looking at it, knowing, well, if we don't get this one, well, we're all on his way. And they're not at that stage yet, but they can see it, and people are talking to them all the time about it, and it drains you emotionally. The players are just constantly surrounded by it.
And 4 or 5 of that Leigh squad have come from Toronto, where they've had that uncertainty anyway. So it must be incredibly difficult to get them motivated. Your boys didn't help them this week by daring to beat them.
Jagging a win, I believe, is the phrase.
But the problem now for Leigh that it's Salford or nothing now.
Well, yeah, but again, you get to those stages, don't you? I remember at Bradford the day before I got sacked, actually, and it was Salford then, and it was we lost that game, and you could see I've got players, and I won't mind me saying it, players like Matt Diskin who never made any mistakes and always made the right pass at the right time, second guessing himself. Matt Diskin, he won grand finals, international, brilliant player, hardest player I've probably played with. He's second guessing, passing the ball. Chev Walker, people like that, been there, done it. What had happened to them, not getting paid, all that, emotionally, they got to that game, they're thinking, we'll get these, we've got enough, and just, you could see it in them, edgy, and they could see after the try, you don't want it to get, you're almost creating £1 million game, and that's the worst thing you could ever do to people like that. It's, there's drama, and it's almost cruel. It's cruel. You're going to do that to players. Players, like I said, generally they're alright. Staff, the way the game looks after staff is really poor. Physios, coaches, they're just like...
Didn't this happen last time Leigh got promoted? Neil Duke was in charge and then moved off into some kind of other role soon afterwards.
But the thing is, it's eminently predictable and partly not their fault, because when you're bringing them in late and you're not allowing them to have the same level of resources what actually are you creating? It's almost like you've set it up to fail.
They've done it time and time again, Phil. What about Bradford?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can come in, but you have to give half your money back, and not we're going to spend it round the game getting kids playing, and
we're going to distribute it amongst ourselves against you.
What are you going to do then? Oh, we're just going to spend it on the players. We're going to get more players. So I
don't know if we've depressed poor Steve now. He says Gelling's going home, so the already depleted Leigh team is down to the bare bones. I think there are only 24 left in the squad. It's like some players on loan, everyone's doing it this week.
These players don't exist.
Yeah.